more about the final candidates for the position of president for Paradise Valley Community College. The public forum is being held both in person and through live video stream. I'm Dr. Amy Diaz, college president at Gateway Community College and tri-chair for Paradise Valley Community College's Presidential Search Committee, along with my colleagues, Herman Gonzalez and Dr. David Ruby. I will be serving as your host for this public forum. I would now like to introduce Dr. Georgetta Kelly, Chief Human Resources Officer for Maricopa Community Colleges. We are your co-facilitators for this session.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank any governing board members who are virtually attending this session and introduce any governing board members who may be in the audience. At this forum, governing board members in their role as private citizens are welcome to ask the candidate questions and make comments like other attendees. However, they are not allowed under Arizona open meeting law to discuss with board members matters raised at the forum or to take any district action as governing board members. This forum, along with the Academic and Student Affairs Direct Reports, VP Council Chairs, Staff Representation, Faculty Executive Council, Student Group Sessions, a session with the District's President's Council and senior staff, and a formal interview with Dr. Stephen R. Gonzalez, Chancellor of Maricopa Community Colleges, are the final steps in the search process for this college president position. I would like to now review the format and ground rules of this public forum. This forum is scheduled for 40 minutes today. The finalists will be given up to 7 minutes to introduce and explain their background that has prepared them for the role of president at Paradise Valley Community College. The finalists will receive a 1-minute warning and then a stop sign when necessary. I will then request questions from the audience. Please stand in line at the microphone should you wish to ask a question. If you are attending via live stream, you will be invited to submit questions online to X-Search form at domel.maricopa.edu. That's X-Search, EXSEARCH form, FORUM, at domel, DOMAIL, MARICOPA.edu. We will rotate one question from the in-person attendees and one question from the live stream participants who are attending virtually. In instances where we may receive multiple questions from one attendee, we will do our best to honor one question per attendee with the intention of rotating back to the previously unread questions as time permits. We are video streaming the public forum, so the finalists may be limited to a certain area of the room. The link is available on the public forum's webpage at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search, SEARCH. As time runs out, I will invite the finalists to take up to 5 minutes for any closing remarks. Our timekeeper for this session is sitting front and center and will signal the finalists to help stay on track. The finalists will receive a 1-minute warning and then a stop sign when necessary. I request that you ask respectful questions and behave in a respectful and courteous manner at all times. Observers and audience members may come and go. Please do so quietly. Please silence your cell phones. The purpose of the public forum is to provide you with an opportunity to get to know the finalists and to solicit your input. The finalist bio and feedback form are also available at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. Please be sure to complete the online feedback form. The form is compatible with mobile devices. The feedback information provided in the form is confidential and sent to the Chancellor for his review and decision-making. The links to view the forms and provide feedback will close at 5 p.m. on May 7, 2024.
Thank you for attending this public forum. At this time, I invite Dr. Todd Fritsch to the podium. Dr. Fritsch, you are allowed up to 7 minutes to introduce yourself and explain the background that has prepared you for the role of president at Paradise Valley Community College.
Very good. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I couldn't be more excited about this opportunity. Paradise Valley Community College is an institution that I have watched for the last several years and have had great interest in, and I think this is an extraordinary leadership opportunity. I won't go all the way back to I was born a small child, but I will give you a little bit of background for those of you that maybe didn't have the chance to receive my application materials. And it has to start with completion of my PhD. I'm a trained academic geologist. All 3 of my degrees are in geology, and I ultimately pursued a PhD because I fell in love with teaching. I was fortunate to be on a teaching assistantship, both for my master's degree and for my PhD when I was at Baylor University. And my mother was a paraprofessional for 29 years, and I watched what patience it took for her to work with middle school and high school children in that capacity. And I knew I didn't have that same patience, but I knew I loved teaching. And so I knew that I wanted to teach at the college or university level, and hence the pursuit of a PhD. And I honestly just thought I would have a great career as a faculty member. I did not pursue a faculty position upon completion of my PhD, much to the chagrin of my dissertation committee. They really wanted me to go out and pursue an academic career immediately, but I had learned the most from faculty that had gone out and had applied practical experiences and brought that back to the classroom. And so I made the conscious decision for at least 5 years to go get that practical experience. I worked for the Department of Environmental Protection in Massachusetts for 3 years in their headquarters in Boston. I worked as an environmental consultant for 2 different consulting agencies, all while I was serving as an adjunct faculty member at Northeastern University and Worcester State College. And I was fortunate to be given the opportunity to join the faculty full-time at Northeastern University as founding director of my lab, the Geographic Information Technology Lab in the Geology Department, and had a joint appointment in Arts and Sciences and in the College of Professional Studies. And at Northeastern University, what was then University College became the College of Professional Studies. That was our access college for the university. And so access and opportunity has always been a really important part of my career. I am a first-generation college graduate. Education transformed my life. Growing up in rural northern Michigan, never did I think somebody like me would have the opportunity, for example, to live and work in Athens, Greece, and work for an American college. And it is because of education that I was afforded that and many other opportunities. And so I've committed my career to paying that forward. And I honestly always thought I would just do that by being a great faculty member and having direct, life-changing interactions with the students that were in my classes. But it was at the College of Professional Studies that I was afforded the opportunity to dip my toe into the administrative waters. And what I found was that, 1, I was good at doing that work, and 2, I realized what a profound impact I could have on so many more students, albeit a little bit less directly as an administrator than I could as a faculty member. And so I got really excited about having that broad impact positively on the lives of students by working to make my college or university better every single day for students. And so I got really excited about administration, had the great opportunity of working for a really innovative vice president, and I learned a lot about program development and about taking time for people. That was one of the greatest pieces of wisdom that he imparted on me, was that, Todd, as much as you're trying to achieve, it's important to take time for people. And those words have always resonated with me. And so as I moved through my career, I ultimately left Northeastern to pursue a vice president and dean opportunity at the American College of Greece. I committed to that opportunity for 3 to 5 years with that new president that hired me, and had wonderful experiences there before my family and I decided it was time to come back to the United States. And I was lucky enough to be selected to be provost at American International College after that. That again was a nearly open access private institution, more than 50% non-white, more than 50% Pell Grant eligible students, more than 50% were first generation like myself. And I had candidly thought I had found my forever home. But as I've said to many of you, and I see familiar faces in the audience from earlier meetings, A lot of times going into positions like that, it's like dating. You think it's going to be a great relationship, but it isn't until you get into the relationship that you realize maybe this isn't the right relationship for me. And it was at that point that the president and I didn't always agree on how things should function. I called it a fundamental difference in leadership philosophy, but when it came to questions around morals and ethics and personal integrity, those were just lines that I couldn't cross. And so I knew that wasn't going to be my forever home. And I had the fortunate opportunity to go to work for a good friend of mine who started a company called Shorelight Education. For those of you that might not be familiar with Shorelight Education, it is an international student pathway company that partners with colleges and universities to develop and operationalize those pathway programs. And then we also had recruitment operations in 160 different countries across the globe where we recruited bringing students into those pathway programs that we jointly collaborated with on our university and college partners. I served as Chief Academic Officer for that organization and also as Vice President of Business Development and Global Solutions, which afforded me the opportunity to help negotiate 16 different college and university partnerships with presidents and provosts across a wide range of institutions. And so that gave me a unique insight not only in what it took to partner effectively with colleges and universities, but gave me unique insight into their business operations and their financial operations, because we were joint partners creating joint LLCs with every one of those college and university partners. And I really enjoyed that work, and I was great at that work and did it for 4 years. As I said, I helped the company scale from 2 partnerships to 16 over 4 years, and we increased the revenues from about $8 million in the first years that I started there to over $100 million in revenue at the end. But it just didn't feed my soul, and I needed to come back to a college because I missed the faculty, I missed the students, I missed being an integral part of the fabric of the institution. And so I was fortunate to be selected with my current role as Executive Vice President and Provost at the State College of Florida, which is formerly Manatee Community College. So an institution very much like Paradise Valley. And I've had great success there, but I believe all of those experiences, many of them were intentional to fill gaps in what I perceived to be my resume as I prepared to be a president, because it was long ago that I said I really want to ultimately become a college president. And so I look forward to the opportunity to bring all of those experiences to bear here to help Paradise Valley Community College realize its full potential. And I see tremendous opportunities for growth and development at this institution. It excites me very, very much.
At this time, we invite questions from audience members. Please stand in line at the microphone should you wish to ask a question. If you're attending via live stream, you may submit questions to xsearchforum@domail.maricopa.edu. We will do our best to rotate through all questions, honoring at least one question posed by each attendee. In instances where we may receive multiple questions from one attendee, we will make every effort to return to any unasked questions once we have given equal time to other attendees also asking a question. So if you're attending via live stream, that's XEX search SEARCH forum FORUM at domail.maricopa.edu. And again, we'll do our best to rotate from one question in the audience physically to one question online, back to the audience, back to online. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead and start on the floor.
Greetings. Pleasure to meet you. I am currently the lead for the reaffirmation of accreditation effort. As you know, we have a site visit coming up in October. My question to you is, what is the first question you pose to that team? Essentially, that's it. What's your first question?
First question for me is going to be, what do you need from me? We are also about to go after our reaffirmation with SACS. And so knowing that you're going to have a new leader coming in, what I would need to know from that team is, what do you need from me in order to successfully navigate that experience? I've had experiences across a wide range of regional accreditors. I was a site visitor for the New England Association back when I was up in the Northeast part of the country. Worked closely with SACS COC both on our mid-course review and preparation for our 10-year. And I don't know how many of you are following Florida and Florida politics, but the Florida legislature passed last year, we cannot be re-accredited by the same regional accreditor twice. And so immediately following our accreditation visit, which is coming up in the fall, we have already started our preparations for HLC accreditation, which is the direction we're likely to go. So I've got a little bit of experience with the Higher Learning Commission as well. But my question to that team would be, what do you need from me in order to help us be certain that we will successfully navigate our reaccreditation?
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. Your first question from online. How comfortable do you feel in advocating for us as PVCC's president when it might put you in a direct opposition of one of the other Maricopa College presidents, especially coming in as a new senior administrator?
Absolutely. Great question. And I've received that question in several forms, so it says a lot. I think first and foremost, your responsibility as president is to advocate for your institution. But I'll say the same thing for that question that I said in the airport interview. Those aren't mutually exclusive. I believe that the things that we're trying to achieve successfully for our institution here at PVCC could and should be of mutual benefit to the district as well. Now, I know there are finite resources and we have to set priorities, and I welcome the opportunity to be an active, engaged senior leader in those conversations. And it may be no today, but I hope it wouldn't be no forever when we come up with really great, interesting, innovative opportunities. And I would welcome the opportunity to be a pilot institution for some of those very creative, innovative, unique opportunities. I've had a long career of success in that area, whether it be enrollment growth initiatives, whether it be initiatives to diversify revenue, all things that I think are important to all community colleges. I would welcome taking the lead on that so that we can pilot things here at PVCC that could ultimately become district-wide collaborations. I've done that as part of a consortium at my current institution. We started a P3 partnership with a CDL training provider that, as we worked out the kinks and figured out how that model could work without any overhead added to the institution, but bottom line financial benefit for us and for our partner, that has now scaled to be an 8-college consortium that's making us the largest CDL training provider in the state of Florida. And so I think those kinds of activities can start at the institutional level and can be mutually beneficial at the district level as well. But as president, my principal responsibility is to advocate for my institution.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We can take a question from the floor at this time.
Hi, my name is Mary Bankhead. I'm residential faculty here at PVCC. And Beta thought I was taller than I actually am. It's all good. Rising costs of living and college going greatly impact some students, making it hard to focus on school. How would you execute additional or add to existing initiatives to meet student basic needs, including housing, childcare, and food insecurity?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I've said earlier, take some comfort in knowing you're not alone. We are all facing those same kinds of challenges. I have great pride in the work that we've done as a collaborative effort to dramatically increase the financial resources that we've acquired on behalf of students to help offset the expenses and costs associated with that. So not only pursuing other sources of funding, whether it be local, family, community foundation funds to support student programs like the ones that you've just described, whether it's through the creative reallocation of existing budget resources. For example, having to make some difficult decisions recently at my current institution around athletics, the institution made the decision to reallocate some of those dollars because we weren't able to provide the mental health support that we needed for students. And we learned that over 80% of our student fees were going to less than 100 students, and so we had to make those difficult decisions to say, where do we need to be putting those resources today? Not to say that we might not return to some of those things in the future, but those are the tough decisions sometimes you have to make in order to ensure that you're reaching the majority of students in very creative ways. In addition to that, I think fundraising is a critical component of that. I absolutely love the opportunity to fundraise on behalf of my institution. Once I come to appreciate all the great things that we can do and are doing, there's no better ambassador than me out there letting people know what we do, why they should care, and why it's important, and getting them excited about contributing to that. And the last thing I'll share about that is I think the diversification of revenue is critical. I have countless examples that I can share with you today about the ways in which we've positively affected the bottom line. And my CFO always says that your influence on the balance sheet is clearly evident. Over the last 6 years, our composite financial index has gone from just over 4 to nearly 7. And so that means we've created opportunities for revenue diversification and increased financial resources so that we can invest in the kinds of things that are really important for students. And those are all things that happen behind the scenes that people don't see out front, but the impact on it is very evident as you've seen an increase in persistence, retention, and completion rates across a wide range of our areas at the institution. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. We'll go back to our online questions. Maricopa Community Colleges are proud to offer bachelor's degrees for our community. Specifically, Paradise Valley is wrapping up our first year of offering a Bachelor's of Arts in elementary and special education. As you are aware, launching and growing new programs requires intentional commitments and commitments of support for financial and personnel resources. How are you prepared to support the bachelor's degree programs at Paradise Valley, especially in light of recent budget reductions?
Yeah, great question. And again, I'll point to those alternative financial resources. Give you a great example. We too, maybe a year or so ahead of Paradise Valley Community College, launched elementary education and exceptional student education baccalaureate degrees. We had to work in partnership with some of the community foundations who understood the challenges that the lack of teachers created for our service region. And so the Marjorie and Charles Barancic Foundation is a community foundation that has great interest in supporting education. And so we worked closely with them in the first year, got over $600,000 in support from that foundation to underwrite the expenses to launch those 2 elementary and exceptional student education programs. We've had great success. We have nearly 100 majors across those 2 areas, and we recently reapplied for an additional $400,000 in support so that we're building out those programs to the point where the revenue that's generated from the tuition in those programs helps to make those programs self-sufficient, and we believe we'll be there after the second 2 years of funding. So I think those are some of the creative ways in which you can go out and partner with the community. Could be business and industry. They may need a baccalaureate program in a particular area that we're not currently offering, and if those business and industry partners are willing to pay the tuition for their employees to go into those programs, now you have a ready stream of revenue that will help those programs be sufficient right out of the gate. So I think you need to find some of those alternatives and not just rely on the traditional methods of tuition and regular appropriation to launch and develop those programs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Fritsch. We can go ahead to the floor now.
Good afternoon, Christina Hunley with Athletics. Question for you, Doctor, is what are your feelings of supporting athletics at the 2-year level, and can you speak to any experience you've had of supporting athletics?
Yeah, absolutely. Just got that question in the staff representation meeting earlier as well. I think athletics is absolutely critical to rounding out the full college experience, which so many people are looking for. I think the same can be said for visual and performing arts. Athletics is in that category for me as well. And being a former athlete, I'm extremely passionate about athletics. With that said, I understand that sometimes there are resource constraints, and so many times, we have to look at all of those things. I just gave you an example of a difficult decision our college had to take in order to benefit a broad range of students. But I think absolutely athletics is key. At a former institution, was a NCAA Division II institution. We had over 22 varsity athletic programs and 1 Division I program, and it was a huge enrollment driver for us. And so many times I think colleges miss the opportunity to leverage athletics as a potential enrollment driver as well, especially when you're in a community college environment where you provide an opportunity for local athletes to compete, live, get educated, and ultimately end up working. And I think that's something that often goes undervalued by the athletics in an NJCAA program like that. And so part of what we've decided to re-emphasize at our institution, at my current institution, is moving from Division I to Division II in some of those areas because it helps to reduce some of the expenses and allows us then to not look to recruit out of state and internationally at high expense, but provide local opportunities for the students in our community to compete at that level. And so we've had a little bit of shift of emphasis, but we're doing that so that we can continue to emphasize and add value to the athletic programs and for what it does for the community.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. We'll take another question online. What about PVCC attracts you or makes you want to work here?
As I've said before, this is an institution I've had great interest in for several years. I know there are a number of challenges, but for me, every challenge is an opportunity. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I see tremendous potential at this institution to build on the foundation of the great things that have already been accomplished. You've been an Aspen Top 150 school for the last 5 cycles. I would welcome the opportunity to leverage the work that we're doing in Guided Pathways. State College of Florida is also a Guided Pathways school, and I have been the executive sponsor of Guided Pathways for the last 5 years. I would love to help this institution continue to drive towards realizing its full potential of ultimately becoming a top 10 Aspen school and ultimately winning that prize. And so I see tremendous potential based on the experiences that I've had at my current institution and at other institutions where I would come in to leverage those experiences and take advantage of the great foundation that's been built here, not because I think I have all the answers. Having those experiences simply gives me confidence to know I know the right questions to ask, and then based on the answers to those questions, we develop our priorities, we secure the resources necessary. But nothing would give me greater pleasure, more excitement to help this institution drive towards realizing its full potential. And I truly believe you're on the cusp of greatness, and I would welcome the opportunity to be a lead in that.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. We can go ahead and take a question from the floor at this time.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Susan Bonnell. I'm the adjunct faculty coordinator and also an adjunct in psychology.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. So can you tell us how you've engaged adjuncts in the past and how you do now?
Absolutely. It's a place where I think many, if not most institutions could do a whole lot more. It's the active conversation that I'm having at my current institution. I had the great fortune of having been an adjunct at a number of different institutions, and some brought you in and handed you the textbook and the syllabus and said, you're a content expert, good luck. And other institutions like Northeastern University, when I was there in what was then University College, brought us in and made us feel a part of the fabric of the institution. Twice a year, we were invited, all adjuncts across University College, to come in, sit down with leadership, to a dinner, hear from them what their priorities were, ask for feedback on the initiatives and activities that were happening, because like at my current institution, we have over 150 full-time faculty now. We had about 128 when I started. But each semester I have over 300 adjuncts that are critical to delivering the experience that we're delivering for students across all three campuses. And so I think figuring out how to make them more involved and feel like a part of the institution is absolutely critical. And those are the things that we're doing right now at my current institution. I just sat down with a large group of adjuncts. We've got some department chairs that are really actively engaged with their adjuncts, and we're soliciting input on how can we do more for that group that's so critical to delivering the operations of the institution. What do you like about what we're doing? What would you like to see us do differently? And how can we figure out how to do more? Because they are a critical component of what we do every single day.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. Next question online is going to be, please share your experiences in establishing and or strengthening partnerships between community colleges and four-year institutions and providing workforce-related programming.
Wow, those are good questions. I'm fortunate to have really strong partnerships with our four-year institutions, both locally and across the state. One of my critical initiatives in the first years of my time at State College of Florida was to go out and sign articulation agreements with all of the historically black colleges and universities in the state. We didn't have relationships with them at all, and so it was really important that we were giving our students every opportunity to continue their education wherever they wanted to do that. And so that was a critical initiative that ended up being one of our college goals. I'm happy to say we signed with all but one of those institutions, and that institution is on its way to closing, so it was probably a good choice not to sign with them. But we also found creative ways to strengthen our relationships with them that are a little bit beyond just the traditional articulation agreements. So at my institution, I have two collegiate charter schools. In Bradenton, on the Bradenton campus, it's grades 6 through 12, and on our Venice campus, it's grades 9 through 12. And we've gone out and signed collaborative partnership agreements with Florida Gulf Coast University, University of South Florida, and New College that provides graduates from those collegiate charter high school programs. And for those of you that might not be familiar with that, those students complete their high school diploma at the same time they're completing their AA degree as part of their high school experience. We've signed agreements with them that give them up to 3 years to finish the second 2 years of baccalaureate degree at no cost to those students. That's been a long time coming, and partnerships we're very excited about, because students then have a pathway to not just a 2-year degree at no cost, but a 4-year baccalaureate degree at no cost as well. And we've seen increased enrollments to the point where we are a lottery school in both of those, and we have long wait lists for those schools because of those relationships. So we've found really creative ways not just to articulate from our institution to the next institution, but in my service region, the technical colleges are separate from the state college. And so we've worked really hard signing articulation agreements and articulating the vocational and skills training content that's coming out of the technical colleges into our AS and CTE programs. And we've seen great increases in the enrollments in our CTE programs, because coming out of those vocational technical colleges into our 2-year AS programs, the articulation of that content has been critical. And depending on the institution, we found a way to articulate almost 80% of the curriculum coming out of those vocational schools into one or more of our CTE programs. So that's really helped drive the enrollment in our AS workforce training programs as well.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. We can go ahead and take a question from the floor at this time.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabrielle, and I am a fine arts student here at PVCC. I've had the opportunity to work part-time within the fine arts sphere here, and I've had a lot of enrichment from that and seen how it positively affects my fellow students both in the fine arts and outside of it. And I was wondering what plans, if any, you have to support the fine arts here if you become president.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. As I said, I think the fine arts, visual and performing arts, much like athletics, adds a richness to the campus community and the culture of the institution. I come from an institution that has placed a particular emphasis on that. We just created a new studio for the performing arts. It's a 150-seat venue that is dedicated to the performing arts areas, and it was all privately fundraised for. It's the first building on our campus in the history of the institution that was developed all from private dollars. There's a great richness of art interest in the two-county region that I serve, much like I anticipate there is here as well. And I would welcome the opportunity to continue to invest in those areas. The faculty were happy to share with me that some of the decisions that we've made around guided pathways have constrained those opportunities a little bit. And so I would welcome working with academic leadership to take a look at that and figure out how do we maybe make some adjustments to that so that we're not constraining and eliminating or diminishing those opportunities for students, because I think they're so important.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. We'll go ahead and take another question online. There is a growing movement to ban DEI in higher education in the country, with Florida as the arrowhead. What is your experience in DEI at the community college level? How will you ensure that DEI is implemented at PVCC in a way that addresses the concerns of critics of DEI while still achieving the goals of DEI?
Absolutely. Great question. I'm really proud of my work in that area, even though I am operating in the state of Florida. One of the examples I gave to a group when they had a similar question today was a group that I co-founded with our Vice President for Student Services and Enrollment Management called Expanding Our Boundaries. And we had a college goal to increase the enrollment of our underrepresented minority student population because our institution at that time was not serving at the same percentage that those populations represent in our service region. We were far below. We were underperforming in that area. And we also, Rich Barnhouse and I, realized that we weren't going to be the ones to be able to go into those churches and community organizations and have great impact. We knew that we needed to bring people who were connected to those organizations to the table to have conversations with us about what we do, why it's important, and what kind of value it can provide to the community. And so we solicited participation across a wide range of community organizations that included the churches, the community organizations like Unidos Now and Take Stock in Children, those that were actively engaged in serving the populations that we felt as though we weren't serving well enough. And I'm happy to report that that task force is continuing to operate today, and we 2 years ago received our initial designation as an emerging Hispanic serving institution. We've been at 25% the last year, and we believe this year will be over 25%. So for 2 years in a row, we will then get the designation that we need to be an HSI institution. It's something we're very, very proud of. We are also now at a point where the African American community on our campus and our student enrollments has just slightly exceeded the population demographic in our service region, and we were far below that when we started these initiatives. So it has proven to work that we are able to get out there. And I think so much emphasis gets placed on the diversity piece, but as an open access institution like Paradise Valley, equity and inclusion is important. And so we as an institution, even under great scrutiny in the state of Florida, have said, look, access and opportunity, equity is part of our mission, and we're going to continue to stay true to our mission. Another great example of that is we made the difficult decision my first year at the college to bring dual enrollment back to our college campuses. We had been delivering it in 14 different high schools across the two-county region. And as we started looking at the operations of that activity, we realized there were some concerns that could be addressed very effectively by bringing it back to our campus. And we did that for academic integrity reasons. We wanted to be delivering a true college experience with the support services that were necessary, including tutoring and the library, and things that you can't really do if you're doing it large scale on the high schools, because they don't have those same resources for students. But one of the positive impacts that it had doing that was we didn't realize that underrepresented minority students weren't being afforded those opportunities in the high schools. The year after we brought it back, we saw a 29% increase in underrepresented minority student enrollment in our dual enrollment programs. And we started understanding why. It's because those institutions had already decided for those students that dual enrollment was not for them. And we did not take that same position. And so I'm really proud of those increases in those particular areas as well. And they're things that we continue to actively pursue and emphasize. I can say the same thing around hiring. Somebody asked me the question about how do you ensure that your employee demographic looks like your student demographic. And I said, well, first and foremost, I always emphasize hiring the very best person for the position first and foremost. And then if I can increase the diversity of my employee base so that it looks a lot more like my student base, I do that as well. And I've made great gains in that area as well. And so even under heavy scrutiny, I think if we stay true to the commitment of equity inclusion for all, that could include more male students in nursing, for example. That was a college goal and an area of emphasis for a while because we felt we weren't as well represented there. And so we've been able to increase that in our nursing program, and we've added to the male faculty ranks in our nursing program because that was a priority for us. So we've still been able to figure out how to do it, even though Florida seems like it's a place where that's being discouraged.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. Do we have any questions from the floor at this time? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gretchen LeBron-Weed, and I work in the library. My question is library related.
Okay.
So just curious, with this ever-changing technological world, how do you see the role of the library, and what will you do to champion library studies?
Yeah, the library reports to me directly now, and I'm a huge advocate and champion for the library. It's been very interesting as we've marched down this guided pathways path, learning about some of the excellence that's happening in our library. I'm fortunate to have very well-credentialed librarians across our 3 campuses. And so we've turned to them. They championed a technologically enabled student interaction called Ask a Librarian, so that students from remote locations can come in and get the orientation to library activities that they need, and that has then scaled to some of the work that Student Services has embraced because we had that best practice already existing at the library. They are on the forefront of AI and are helping to champion a task force around AI to engage in that dialogue because they're actively engaged in that. And so I think too often we think traditionally about the library as being the place we go for periodicals and stacks and things, and not where we should be looking for best practices in technology. But I'm fortunate to have had that experience, and so I'd love to learn more about what's happening at the libraries here so that we can continue to support it as well. Our departments at my current institution come to rely on the LibGuides that are technology enabled to be able to get done a lot of the things they don't have time to do in the classroom every day, but work in partnership with their librarians, and those LibGuides are a huge resource for us. So there are lots of different ways that our director of libraries has helped me understand that we're more than just the library you used to know, and I'm really excited about the work that they're doing and would welcome the chance to get to know that here and continue to support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. Our next question online is, describe your leadership style in 3 words.
Leadership style in 3 words. Wow, I don't know if I've ever answered a question in 3 words. I guess you should never use the word to answer the question, but I would say servant, leader, always.
All right, thank you. And we can go back to the floor.
Hi, Dr. Fritsch. My name is David Bradley, and I'm residential faculty in the Fine and Performing Arts Division.
Yes, sir.
And I have a question about I'm sure you're aware of the situation across the country with student protests about the war in Gaza. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder what your approach might be if you were faced with the prospect of student protests that might disrupt campus life while balancing free speech rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fortunately, we haven't had that issue on my campus, but I think communication is key, right? I think free speech is free speech. I think we often miss the opportunities to open up forums for engaged communication and dialogue. And so as we look to limit those things too often, that's where the issues come up. And so I think figuring out a way to encourage productive, open, candid dialogue without getting to the escalation point where things get to be unnecessarily difficult would be the position I would want to take on that. Certainly we want to allow for free speech. We want people to be able to express themselves. I think we don't want that to happen in ways that end up being detrimental to others who might have a counter opinion, right? And so working to establish a forum for open, active engagement and positive, productive communication around those challenges, I think is the best course of action to try to avoid getting to those escalation points. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Dr. Fritsch. Do we have any other questions on the floor at this time? All right, we have none online as well, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Diaz at this time to close us out. Thank you, Dr. Fritsch.
Thank you.
Dr. Fritsch, we thank you for your time today. If you would like to leave us with any closing remarks, you're welcome to take up to 5 minutes to do so.
Very good. I appreciate it very much, the opportunity to be here today. As I've said earlier, this is an institution that I've had great interest in for several years. And I will leave you with this. At my current institution, I wake up every day asking myself 2 questions. And these are the same 2 questions I would ask myself here as your president. What can I do today to make this institution better for students? And the second question is, what could I do today to make this institution better for faculty and staff? I think when you put students first in everything that you do, you cannot go wrong. And secondly, when you're looking to make the institution better for faculty and staff, and they're happy and healthy and thriving in a culture of positivity, our students benefit as well. I think I've shared with you a little bit of the wide range of experiences and backgrounds that I would bring to this opportunity. I hope you can feel the passion that I have for this opportunity and know that I would wake up every single day trying to figure out what I could do that day to make this institution better for students and better for the employees at this institution. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
This now concludes this public forum, and we invite you to take time to complete your feedback form located at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. All feedback is due by Tuesday, May 7th at 5 p.m. That's www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search, SEARCH. Thank you, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending and participating in the public forum to learn more about the final candidates for the position of president for Paradise Valley Community College. The public forum is being held both in person and through a live video stream. I'm Dr. Amy Diaz, president of Gateway Community College and Paradise Valley Community College's Presidential Search Committee Tri-Chair, along with my colleagues, Herman Gonzalez and Dr. David Ruby. I will be serving as your host for this public forum. I would now like to introduce Dr. Georgetta Kelly, Chief Human Resources Officer for Maricopa Community Colleges. We are your co-facilitators for this session.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank any governing board members who are attending virtually and introduce any governing board members who may be in the audience. At this forum, governing board members in their role as private citizens are welcome to ask the candidate questions and make comments like other attendees. However, they are not allowed under Arizona open meeting law to discuss with other board members matters raised at the forum or to take any district action as a governing board member. This forum, along with academic and student affairs direct reports, VP council chairs, staff representation, faculty executive council, student group sessions, a session with the district's president's council and senior staff, and a formal interview with Dr. Stephen R. Gonzalez, Chancellor of Maricopa Community Colleges, are the final steps in the search process for this college president position. I would like to now review the format and ground rules of this public forum. This forum is scheduled for 40 minutes today. The finalists will be given up to 7 minutes to introduce and explain their background that has prepared them for the role of president at Paradise Valley Community College. The finalists will receive a 1-minute warning and then a stop sign when necessary. I will then request questions from the audience. Please stand in line at the microphone should you wish to ask a question. If you are attending via live stream, you will be invited to submit questions online to xsearchforum@domel.maricopa.edu. That's xsearch, EXSEARCH, forum, FORUM, at domel, DOMAIL, .maricopa.edu. We will rotate one question from the in-person attendees and one question from the live stream participants who are attending virtually. In instances where we may receive multiple questions from one attendee, we will do our best to honor one question per attendee with the intention of rotating back to the previously unread questions as time permits. We are video streaming the public forum, so the finalists may be limited to a certain area of the room. The link is available on the public forum's webpage at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. That's www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search, SEARCH. As time runs out, I will invite the finalists to take up to 5 minutes for any closing remarks. Our timekeeper for this session is sitting front and center and will signal the finalists to help stay on track. The finalists will receive a 1-minute warning and then a stop sign when necessary. I request that you ask respectful questions and behave in a respectful and courteous manner at all times. Observers may come and go. Please do so quietly. Please silence your cell phones. The purpose of the public forum is to provide you with an opportunity to get to know the finalists and to solicit your input. The finalist bios and feedback form are also available at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. Please be sure to complete the online feedback form. The forum is compatible with mobile devices. The feedback information provided in the forum is confidential and sent to the chancellor for his review and decision-making. The links to view the forums and provide feedback will close at 5 p.m. on May 7th, 2024.
Thank you for attending this public forum. At this time, I invite Dr. Livier Leffler to the podium. Dr. Leffler, you are allowed up to 7 minutes to introduce yourself and explain the background that has prepared you for the role of president at Paradise Valley Community College.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here today. As mentioned, my name is Dr. Livier Leffler, and I am excited to be here with you. I am a first-generation Hispanic community college graduate student. The community college is a pathway for my education, and I'm talking to you a little bit about how important that is. Coming from two parents, my father had an 8th grade education. My mother spoke little to no Spanish. She learned how to speak to no English. She learned how to speak English by watching soap operas. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, so the community college was a gateway for me. And here I am before you with my PhD interviewing to be a president at this fine institution. None of this would have been happening without the first open doors of a community college. It thoroughly changed my life. We grew up very impoverished, and so the community college broke the cycle of poverty for my family and for my children. And so I've seen that and time again, not only for myself, but for the students that I see every day. It truly does transform lives, and so that's where my passion comes from. My background a little bit is I have a licensed mental health counselor. My master's is in counseling. I still do have my license, and I don't practice anymore, but I'll keep that. I have my PhD in educational leadership and policy studies from Iowa State University, and I have over 2 decades of executive leadership at the community college level, both as an adjunct professor, a student services executive, and a chief academic officer. So I've seen both realms of the house for many, many years. From last January through last year, we were without a president at my current institution. So as the executive leader of my cabinet, I'm gladly stepped into the role, working with the acting president, who is from another campus, to keep our campus thriving and working with faculty and staff and students as we work through that transition. So on that note, I'm happy to answer some of the questions.
At this time, we invite questions from audience members. Please stand in line at the microphone should you wish to ask a question. If you're attending via live stream, you may submit questions to xsearchforum@domail.maricopa.edu. We will do our best to rotate through all questions, honoring at least one question posed by each attendee. In instances where we may receive multiple questions from one attendee, we will make every effort to return to any unasked questions once we have given equal time to other attendees also asking a question. So again, for the live streaming participants, submit your questions to xsearch, EXSEARCH, forum, FORUM, at domail.maricopa.edu. And again, we will rotate between physically in-person questions in the auditorium and online. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. We can go ahead and start on the floor for our first question, please.
Hello, my name is Hannah Laurie. I will be graduating with a degree in art this semester. How do you plan to engage with students and support student involvement with events such as theatrical productions and rock shows held in the Center for Performing Arts here?
Absolutely. The fine arts are very important for a rounded student's education, and we currently just opened our Performing Arts Institute in December, and so before that we didn't have one. So I think it's very important to be inclusive across the campus for all students to have opportunities to be a part of that, participate in that if chosen, but also to encourage and be well-rounded. Just because they're not majoring in a fine arts area doesn't mean they shouldn't be exposed to that culture. I think it's important for community colleges to provide students with opportunities to be well-rounded, to attend cultural events on campus, whether that be looking at fine arts, museums, such as that, or to be looking at live performances on campus as well. So very important to have those opportunities at our campus so that all students can participate and enjoy those activities.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. First question from our online group. How do you view the importance of treating employees with fairness and equity? As a CEO of PVCC, what actions would you take if you encountered a situation where an employee was not being treated fairly?
Being treated fairly and equitably is extremely important. It doesn't matter what position you hold in a community college, and really, quite frankly, in any institution or any industry. Each employee, whether you're the janitor, the cafeteria worker, working in the classrooms, working in student services, absolutely need to be treated with fairness and equity. If I was to see otherwise, of course I would want the appropriate channels of command to be taking place. I would expect that employee to work with their direct manager to try to remedy the situation. And if for something, there's always a hierarchy. So if something has to be escalated, we're at the point where we come to the president's office or with HR, then we would address those issues. But to come to a workplace, I feel like coming to work, we all work for many reasons, but most of us spend more time at work than we do with our own families. So if you come to a work environment and you're filled with nervousness or being treated unfairly or not wanting to come to work because of different issues, that's not a good work environment. It's important to have a really good culture so that all members, staff and faculty alike, and students want to be here. And so with that, it starts at the top with inclusive leadership, providing a culture that's neutral and that's nurturing, and so that those outliers, those employees that might not be treating others with respect or equity or fairness, there's no room for that here. We need to address it, work with it, provide professional development if that's the case, opportunities for professional growth, and address the issue so that each employee has a safe place to come to work where they can grow and nurture and provide the best care for our student population.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. We can go ahead into the floor.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Bankhead. I am residential faculty here at PVCC. And my question is, rising costs of living and college going greatly impacts some students, making it hard for them to focus on school. How would you execute additional or add to existing initiatives to meet student basic needs, including housing, childcare, and food insecurities?
Absolutely. This issue, as you know, inflation is at an all-time high across the nation. The cost of living is incredibly high, and the family paychecks aren't staying they're staying the same. What we're doing, what I like to do all the time is listen to our students. And so I was with the Student Government Association this last fall, and one of the things that they needed was just that. It costs a lot to be a student. They have food insecurities, but not only food insecurities, clothing insecurities. They need help with housing options. At our current college, we just had a food pantry. So one of their complaints was they were tired of dry food. They wanted refrigerated food. They wanted fresh milk, eggs, juice that could be refrigerated, and our campus didn't have that. And so I listened to the students. I worked with the leaders of the campus and with the Student Government Association president and with the advisor of that group, and we applied for American Heart Association grant for $8,000 to not only get an industrial refrigerator, which costs about $800, but to develop a new care unit for our students. And so that's currently under construction. We'll have a brand new refrigerator with those options. The extra funds will be for providing for diapers, for textbooks, for school supplies, for clothing, the basic essentials. And also we're going to have an extra office space for outside resources to come in. So housing personnel from the community will be rotating in on a weekly basis to answer those questions for students. We'll have emergency funding, so if a student doesn't have their financial aid in time and they need a textbook, they'll be able to go there and provide that. If they need additional resources from the community, whether that be metro tickets, additional funding, scholarship, grants areas of improvement like that, that area will be a catch-all for students because there's much more than food insecurities. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a campaign across our campus, across the district actually, where we had a full day where we gave free sandwiches away for all students. They could take one or two, as many as they wanted. We had 1,500 sandwiches, and we had the whole day of providing free food. We'll do that hopefully on a semester basis moving forward, because inflation is a real thing. People are having to choose between paying the rent to putting food on the table and then deciding, should I go to college? College is so expensive. Well, as you know, we're very affordable, but affordability needs to be more enticing and inviting. We need to provide scholarship opportunities, look at grants, make sure students know how to fill the FAFSA out. So it's very important that we give students more options now more than ever because of the current society that we're living in.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Our next question online, I believe, yes, correct, is could you please articulate your experiences in partnering with four-year institutions and offering workforce-related programming?
Absolutely. Partnering with our four-year institutions is crucial. When I was the Dean of Academic Affairs in Iowa, I worked with the three region institutions in higher ed to develop articulation agreements, and so that students were guaranteed a pathway from their two-year degree into their four-year educational degrees. That's imperative. I know now that I believe you have a 90-30 pathway for some institutions here, which is fantastic for your community college students. Also for our workforce students, many of our high schools have technical programs that they can complete and get credentials at the high school and go on into the workforce. We need to make sure as a community college that we're providing an additional pathway for them, providing additional stackable credentials that if they want to advance and provide a better income for themselves or their families, they're able to do that with us. Or if they're in the workforce already and they realize there's an extra skill set. Technology has changed so much this last 10 years. We're becoming, this fall we're opening an artificial intelligence degree. 10 years ago, we wouldn't have even thought of having a degree like that, but that starts in the fall. So it's very important that the community college stay current and relevant to provide workforce credentials, workforce employment opportunities, and having, as a president, it's very, very important that we have conversations with our community stakeholders, our business owners, to see what their needs are, our healthcare providers. Where do they need help with their employees? Where are they having an employee shortage, if any? And what can we do as a community college to prepare our students not only to get the credentials of value that they need to be employed with high income paying jobs, but to fill the need in our community so that we're providing that resource back to them as well.
Thank you. We can move to the floor.
Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You as well.
I lead the reaffirmation of accreditation project, and we're seeking reaffirmation of accreditation for from HLC. As you know, we have a site visit in October. Coming in as the new president, what would be your first question to the team that has been leading this all along?
That's very good. I have a lot of experience with working with the Higher Learning Commission. I went through 2 accreditation visits when I was in Iowa. Just this last year, we had the SACS or accreditation in Texas, and again, I was the interim president working in that role, and I did the accreditation visit with the accreditation visitors, gave them the tour of their campus, answered all their questions. So I'm very familiar with that. It's not a fun process preparing for that. So what I would first want to do as the president here is find out, where are we at with the writing? What does that look like? What was our areas of improvement, if any, that we needed to look at to address from our previous visit? Did we address those? Does our data support what their recommendations were? And so really work with that core group. I'm sure you have a very strong writing team together that is working on that, but see where we're at, see where our deficits were, see if we address those. And I know you had some leadership changes the last few years, so there might very basically be a realistic area where you weren't able to address something because of the lack of leadership, and that's okay, as long as we can articulate that, explain the reason why, whether it's budget, leadership changes, or whatever. We can't ignore it because they're going to catch it and they're going to know. So make sure that we address it, we articulate that, and provide support on what we're going to do moving forward with the new president to make sure that we meet the accreditation requirements, that we get recredited, and they're here to help us, believe it or not. When I was working this before, if I had a question, I would call the accreditator and just say, hey, I'm working on this. They want to help. They're not here to cause problems or to try to shut you down. They want to provide support. So I usually did on the front end, prior to the visit if possible, to ask for guidance, to ask questions, to say, hey, we're doing this, and is there an area that we need to improve upon? So having those conversations as soon as I could get here would be very important, and to work with the team.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Next question from online is, Maricopa Community Colleges are proud to offer bachelor's degrees for our community. Specifically, Paradise Valley is wrapping up our first year of offering a Bachelor's of Arts in Elementary and Special Education. As you are aware, launching and growing new programs requires intentional commitments of support for financial and personnel resources. How are you prepared to support the bachelor's degree programs at Paradise Valley, especially in the light of recent budget restrictions?
Absolutely, and as I shared in one of my forums earlier today, we're looking at a budget cut in my current college. And I think that's pretty standard across the nation, considering the state of our country. A lot of higher educational institutions are having to look at budget cuts, and it's difficult. So first thing I would want to do is do a deep dive analysis of the current budget. What does it look like? How healthy is that? Where are there areas to improve? Where are there areas that we need to cut? We certainly need to embrace our new bachelor's program. It's just started, so we want to make sure that we provide that program with the resources, the faculty, so those students can be successful. But if there's going to be a budgetary impact that negatively is going to affect the college, where can we look at the other areas? And that's where you look at the complete college analysis, student services, instructional needs, administrative cost. And so working with the VIPAD would be very, very important. And the cabinet. Have an open, honest communication about the budget so that there's no surprises. We need to make decisions. Sometimes decisions are tough, but budget cuts are real. And that's the world that we live in. And so that doesn't have to be, I don't work in a silo, I don't make these decisions on my own. We have to have honest communications with the stakeholders that are involved, so that way we are able to support the programs that need supported and provide the best success rates for our students in those, in lieu of not making sure that we keep care of the other programs that are meeting the needs of our student population as well. So it's a more complicated answer than that, because the budget always is. Currently, our campus has a $25 million budget, and we're looking at a 10% cut, so we have to find $2.5 million to cut. And so that's tough. And so I'm asking my department to look at the 10%, but I also go back to the president and say, hey, let's look at the entire budget. Where's the funds at? Let's be equitable. So make sure that we're transparent within our own budgets, that we make conscious decisions, what's best for the programs, what's best for our student population, so that we meet the needs of ultimately of our community. And so those are tough conversations, but they're not that hard. I've done them before, I'll have them again. I advocate for the students first, and whatever that looks like will be a joint decision from the executive leadership team with conversations from the appropriate stakeholders as well.
Thank you so much. We can go ahead back to the floor.
Good afternoon, Christina Hunley in athletics. Doctor, I'm wondering what your thoughts are about offering athletics at the two-year college level, as well as could you talk about any experience you've had supporting athletics?
Absolutely. My current college does not have athletics. There's discussion right now. We're trying to raise some funds if we can to launch athletics, and there's some conversations going on about that, but again, budget cuts. So I hope that happens. I was a dean in Iowa for over 11 years, and we had a strong athletic program. I think athletics is the backbone for communities. We had, and I think that's important for student engagement, to fulfill the full student population. So I work very closely with the athletic director, again, when I was a dean in Iowa, and the coaches. One of the examples I gave earlier in one of my forums was specifically for basketball. At the time I was working there, we had an outstanding basketball program, but we had some concerns with some of our players being ineligible because no one was really tracking their grades and success rates and their GPAs, and so we needed to come up with a conscientious plan to make sure that we align with their academic needs so that they were successful in the classrooms, but also able to play, be eligible, and to be a contributing student to the community. And so I worked with them and having a designated advisor to work specifically. We piloted with just the basketball programs at first, and then we branched out to all the athletic programs. So that way they had an advisor. That advisor was with them and they worked with them on building a schedule. So that way they had a balance. If they don't like math and science, we're not going to put them all together. If some instructors are more flexible about having students miss because they had to miss to travel, then we're not going to really make sure we'll put them with the right instructor to get that balance. And then tracking their grades, providing tutoring, providing wraparound services so that these young athletes can be successful and also thrive in their athletic sports. And so you'll see me in all the games. I love athletics, and I think that student, it's tough. When you're a full-time student and your goal is to be possibly a professional athlete, the community college is a gateway for many of those students and young athletes, so we need to make sure that we can support them, provide them with appropriate academic advising, realistic schedules, wraparound services, and making sure that they meet their classroom needs, whether that be online, hybrid, or face-to-face.
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Our next question online is, what about PVCC attracts you or makes you want to work here?
Everything. Next question. No. Honestly, I feel that this opportunity is presented itself at just the right time in my career. I have over 2 decades of working in community colleges. When I was in Iowa, I referenced Indian Hills Community College. We had 55,000 students. This college has 5,500. This college has between 55 and 7,000, so it's very appropriate. We have athletics. Right now I work for Lone Star College. We have 8 campuses and an online campus and a corporate college. We have several centers. And before that, I was at Tarrant County College, 5 campuses, multi-campus and centers. And so when you work at these large institutions with the multiple campuses, it's not for everybody. You really have to have that experience in that. And also I was an adjunct faculty. I'm not sure if I mentioned that too. So, and prior to my 2 institutions at Tarrant County and Lone Star, I was a chief academic officer for Workforce College, career and technical completely. So I wore all the hats. And as I mentioned last year, I was sitting in as the president for most of the year. And we have a new president from out of Lone Star. She's doing a fantastic job. But she's not from Lone Star, and so we're huge. And so she leans on me a little bit. I'm providing her with some support. So I've worked with a $25 million budget at a campus level, worked with faculty roundtables, had discussion with staff, have worked with student government associations, like my example with getting the care center and getting the $8,000 grant. So everything I feel has provided me to this level. Community college is where my heart is, and when I saw this position, and the college's strategic initiatives, the vision and the mission aligns closely with myself. And if it doesn't, then it has to be a good fit for the institution and for the individual. And I truly believe that this is an opportunity that's a good fit for both.
Thank you. We can return to the floor, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Bonnell. I'm the adjunct faculty coordinator, and an adjunct in psychology. So my question to you is, have you engaged adjuncts in the past, and how do you do it now?
I was an adjunct for many years, and adjuncts we need them. We rely heavily on our adjuncts to help fulfill those sections that our full-time faculty can't fill. So, and they're most of them are subject matter experts in their field, and so they bring a great value and great breadth to our student population because they're working in those industries, they're working in the field. So when they teach to our students, for example, business or whatever it might be, they're coming from their lens of working in the field. So they bring great value to our students. I think it's important, but most of those adjuncts work full-time. They might teach at night, they might teach online, so we want them to come on campus, we want them to be engaged with faculty roundtables, with professional development opportunities, but realistically it's hard for them to do because they have families and they're working full-time. They're just doing adjunct just for a little extra income. So we always reach out to them, we try to include them. We do have adjunct professional development opportunities, which we encourage them. I work closely with the Faculty Senate President, and she works with the adjuncts as well. So I think it'll always be a little bit of a difficulty because if we had adjuncts that didn't work and they had all this extra time, that would be outstanding. But the pleasure of adjuncts is that wealth of information and knowledge that they provide to our student population because of their work history and their current involvement in the work history to provide that insight. So it's just going to be, it's always, this is a conversation I've had for over 20 years. It's like, how do you find that balance? We include them. Some will come, some will not come. But the main thing is that all adjuncts should know that they're welcome. We want them to be a part of our campus. We want them to be a part of our engagement opportunities for our professional development. Anything we have, we want them to be here and know that who we are, who our positions are, and that we have an open door. And that if there's a question, they know who to come to, and that we're always available. And if they want professional development, if they want extra training in an area that they're teaching, we can provide that to them. So that's the beauty of working with adjuncts. They're crucial for a community college to function.
Thank you, Dr. Loeffler. Our next question online is, as president, how often do you plan to be involved in PVCC's on-campus activities?
As much as I possibly can. I love being involved. I go to the plays, the musicals. I really miss the athletics that I had when I was in Iowa. I go to all the sporting events. So I think it's important as a president to be visible, to be involved with student engagement activities that our student life has, be involved with Student Government Association, to work with faculty and staff, but to be involved in the athletics as well. If there's an event on campus, unless my schedule weren't permitted, I need to be able to be there, to be present, to be supportive. For one thing, having an event is no easy task. I don't know how many welcomes I do for, right now, as you know, we have many ceremonies. We have PTK, we have National Leadership Association, we have the Shining Star Awards. We have 4 or 5 awards right now we just got through, and we're graduating on Friday, just like you are, our ceremony is. So to be supportive, the folks that are putting on events, activities, whether that be an athletic event or a play, that takes a lot of work and dedication, a lot of time, and typically those people that are doing those events are wearing a lot more hats than just one. So to be supportive, to know that they're doing good work and that I value what they're doing and our students do as well. So I would be very active as much as I possibly could, and to show those that I do truly support their efforts.
Thank you, Dr. Loeffler. Do we have any more questions on the floor at this time?
Okay. Hi, I'm Gretchen Braun-Weed. I work in the library. My question for you is, what would you say your leadership style is like? What do you bring to campus with you every day?
Right, thank you. My leadership style is very inclusive. I'm transparent. I have an open door policy. And it kind of varies between the audiences. I've learned this when I was from last year and even now, the audiences that I'm working with. If I'm working with students, Student Government Association, for example, my leadership style is to listen to their needs, to be supportive, and not only to listen, but to provide results. As the example is the care center that we're going to be opening this fall. My leadership style, as my executive team would tell you, we meet my cabinet meets we meet every Monday morning for 2 hours in the morning. I meet with my executive team from 3 to 5 every Monday afternoon, and I have a tight agenda. It's not only to talk about what we're doing in Student Services Division, but it's to talk about the initiatives that's coming up from the district level and the campus level. And right now, the hard conversations are budget cuts. So, and I'm very direct because that's how I roll with them, and they know what's expected. And so it really varies. I'm open, I'm honest, I share what I can. If I don't know the answer, I'll go find the answer and come back. And so we're too busy of a place to kind of have meetings and kind of have conversations, not to have some impact. And so that's one of the things that you'll find with me as a leader. I'm authentic. I am who I am, and that makes it easier. I live my life with high morals and high ethics. I'm honest. I'm the hardest worker you'll ever know, and I'm direct as well. I talk to students, I listen to students, I talk to staff, listen to staff, talk to faculty, listen to faculty, and I work with the district office leadership as well, and I know how to take direction. If something comes down from leadership, we need to make sure that our campus is aligned with that, and what can we do as a team to make sure that we're meeting the strategic goals that the district has set forth, and still meet the community needs and our students' needs as well. So the leadership has to be, my leadership style is flexible because it has to be, but it's consistent. My team has worked with me long enough, they know that I'm the real deal. I do get things done, I advocate for our student population, And I'm open and honest and transparent. And so I think that's easier for me because I've been in leadership positions for so long, and it's just, they know what they're getting with me. And that's one thing, if I was to be offered this position, I would bring that into this as well. And one of the things I think is really important to emphasize again, when I stepped into the role to help out in the president capacity last year, I took on a leadership style that I've never had to take before. I've never had to lead an entire campus and work with all these different stakeholders, faculty, students, staff, at that large of a level before. And I did so with grace, with honesty, with integrity, and kindness. You can be direct and follow the initiatives of the district, but you can do it with kindness, you can do it with feedback, you can do it with an open heart, and you can do it with transparency. And that's the kind of leader I would be.
Thank you, Dr. Loeffler. Our next question online is, how do you plan on being accessible and visible to students in order to support them if you are president of PVCC?
Having open forums with our student populations, being present at games, student athletics, mingling with the students, talking to the teams, talking to the fine arts departments, being present at their activities. I think it's important that students know that I'm not just the president hiding behind an office with a closed door that they might see my name, that they're going to recognize me walking on campus. I need to be present. The students' voices are the loudest. I need to know what their voices are saying. If I don't hear them personally and interact with them, how will I know? And so that's important, and to be supportive. I mean, I'm a community college student myself, and I want to be I'm the biggest cheerleader for students to be successful. And so it'd be very important for me to, and that's natural for me. It's not like, oh, I have to go to an event. No, I'm going to want to go to an event, because I'm going to be the biggest cheerleader in the stands, rooting them on, because that's who I am in my heart, and that's authentic.
Thank you, Dr. Loeffler. Do we have any other questions on the floor at this time? We do have one more question online as well. There is a growing movement to ban DEI in higher education in the country, with Florida as the arrowhead. What is your experience in DEI at the community college level? How will you ensure that DEI is implemented at PVCC in a way that addresses the concerns of critics of DEI while still achieving the goals of DEI?
Well, I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm from Texas, and yes, we have recently went through this. I know Arizona is going through this as well with the DEI, and so it's a very difficult, very delicate subject. We do have a district DEI chief officer. Each of our campuses have DEI managers, formerly known as DEI managers. Now they're manager of cultural engagement, and so the work still needs to be done. And unfortunately, we're not able to do the work as transparently as we used to before the DEI initiatives and before that shining light came down so hard. Excuse me for a moment. So I think it's important to be more mindful. For example, our campus is working towards a Seal of Excelencia, which is focused on helping Hispanic students be successful through college. And so that's a wonderful seal, and of course that's working on specific population. We're going through the application process right now, which is due June 5th, and unfortunately there are many questions that I could have answered a year ago in that application that I can't answer right now. I work with the district office wanting to know how many of our employees are Hispanic, what's our student population ratio, and a year ago they would have gladly given that information, and now we can't. And so what I did is call the Seal of Excelencia executive to say, we're having some difficulties collecting the specific data that's required for this. And so she's understanding, so what we're doing is, we can't just focus on working on one specific population, but we can focus on working for all students and all staff, but having that population be included. So it's just it's important to have conversations with the district office that are leading those initiatives and the campus offices as well. We want to make sure we're in compliant, but we're also making sure that we're meeting our students' needs. You know, diversity and inclusion is a thing, and we need to make sure that all students feel welcome, all students have a safe place, all voices are heard, but how do we do so in a way that's without risking of attention, or like the University of Texas in Austin, their whole DEI department was shut down and removed. Horrible. And so we just need to be very cautious on how we have conversations and what we do to meet the needs of our student population in a meaningful way. around that subject. So, and I think that's not going to go away for a while, but we'll navigate through it, having conversations such as this, working with other presidents from other campuses. What are they doing on their campuses to be successful to navigate around this very delicate topic?
Thank you, Dr. Leffler. Any other questions on the floor at this time? Okay, thank you, Dr. Leffler. I'll turn it over to Dr. Diaz.
Dr. Leffler, we thank you for your time today. If you would like to leave us with any closing remarks, you're welcome to take up to 5 minutes to do so.
Right. I want to thank you again for this opportunity. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, I feel like everything I've done in my career, professionally and personally, has led me to this moment. As a community college student, from an 8th grade educated father to a mother that could barely speak English, to be standing before you interviewing as a president of this wonderful institution is a dream come true. I only wish my parents were alive to be here to witness the success that they instilled upon me at a very early age. Community colleges can change lives. It has changed my life. It has changed my daughter's life. It's broken the cycle of poverty. And the passion I have for the community college is greater than words can explain. I see students, I talk to them every day, and I see a young me in their eyes. I can relate to the struggles and the concerns and the scares that they might have. I see the adult learner in my eyes that comes back for another credential. How do I help them? I want to help and hold on to every student and say, you can do this. I did it, you can do it. So I applaud our faculty and their staff for the hard work that we do every day. Community colleges are the backbone in education. We're the gateway for those that many feel that they have no other options. I'm a true believer, I'm an advocate, and I am a strong component. I feel, again, being the president of this institution, I would be honored, I would be humbled, I'd be a servant leader, and I would be one to lead from the heart and make sure that the turmoil that you had from previous leadership or lack thereof, that time has passed. You have a great cabinet. I met with the executive leadership team earlier today. They're fantastic. You have fantastic leadership. The interim president, who's the vice president of student services, is doing a fantastic job. All the executives are. So I was very pleased to hear them and visit with them and to be able to step in and work with that team and work with others to make sure that we take what's working and keep guiding forward. I would be honored and humbled to be your next president. And with that, I'll close. Thank you very much for your time.
This now concludes the public forum, and we invite you to take time to complete your feedback form located at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. All feedback is due by Tuesday, May 7th at 5 p.m. That's www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search, SEARCH. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending and participating in the public forum to learn more about the final candidates for the position of president for Paradise Valley Community College. The public forum is being held both in person and through live video stream. I am Dr. Amy Diaz, and I serve as president of Gateway Community College and as one of the tri-chairs for the Paradise Valley Community College Presidential Search Committee, along with my colleagues Herman Gonzalez and Dr. David Ruby. I will be serving as your host for this public forum. I would now like to introduce Dr. Georgetta Kelly, Chief Human Resources Officer for Maricopa Community Colleges. We are your co-facilitators for this session.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank any governing board members who are virtually attending this session and introduce any governing board members who may be in the audience. At this forum, governing board members in their role as private citizens are welcome to ask the candidate questions and make comments like other attendees. However, they are not allowed under Arizona open meeting law to discuss with board members matters raised at the forum or to take any district action as a governing board member. This forum, along with the Academic and Student Affairs Direct Reports, VP Council Chairs, Staff Representation, Faculty Executive Council, Student Group Sessions, a session with the President's Council and senior staff, and a formal interview with Dr. Stephen R. Gonzalez, Chancellor of Maricopa Community Colleges, are the final steps in the search process for this college president position. I would like to now review the format and ground rules of this public forum. This forum is scheduled for 40 minutes today. The finalists will be given up to 7 minutes to introduce and explain their background that has prepared them for the role of president at Paradise Valley Community College. The finalists will receive a 1-minute warning and then a stop sign when necessary. I will then request questions from the audience. Please stand in line at the microphone should you wish to ask a question. If you are attending via live stream, you will be invited to submit questions online to X search form at domel.maricopa.edu. That's X search, EXSEARCH, forum, FORUM, at domel, DOMAIL, .maricopa, MARICOPA.edu. We will rotate one question from the in-person attendees and one question from the live stream participants who are attending virtually. In instances where we may receive multiple questions from one attendee, we will do our best to honor one question per attendee with the intention of rotating back to the previously unread questions as time permits. We are video streaming the public forum, so the finalists may be limited to a certain area of the room. The link is available on the public forum's webpage at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. That's www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search, SEARCH. As time runs out, I will invite the finalists to take up to 5 minutes for any closing remarks. Our timekeeper for this session is sitting front and center and will signal the finalists to help stay on track. The finalists will receive a 1-minute warning and then a stop sign when necessary. I request that you ask respectful questions and behave in a respectful and courteous manner at all times. Observers and audience members may come and go. Please do so quietly. Please silence your cell phones at this time. The purpose of the public forum is to provide you with an opportunity to get to know the finalists and to solicit your input. The finalist bio and feedback form are also available at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC search. Please be sure to complete the online feedback form. The form is compatible with mobile devices. The feedback information provided in the form is confidential and sent to the Chancellor for his review and decision-making. The links to view the forms and provide feedback will close at 5 p.m. on May 7th, 2024.
Thank you for attending this public forum. At this time, I invite Dr. Norma Saleh-Barone to the podium. Dr. Saleh-Barone, you are allowed up to 7 minutes to introduce yourself and explain the background that has prepared you for the role of president at Paradise Valley Community College.
Thank you, Dr. Amy Diaz. Selamat tengah hari dan selamat datang. That is good afternoon and welcome in my native language, which is Malay. To my family who may be logged on to this link, love you all from across the globe. By the way, it is 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning in Malaysia. Thank you, Paradise Valley campus community, for hosting me today. I have had such a delightful experience meeting with staff members, faculty members, your community members who serve on your advisory committee, the executive leadership team, and boy, your students asked me some very challenging questions this afternoon. But before we start today, let me share with you a few details about myself. As you already know, I grew up in Malaysia. I come from a very big family. There were 7 of us, and I'm the middle child. So right after high school, I was fortunate enough to receive a full scholarship to study in the U.S. I attended Ohio University for my bachelor's and State University of New York for my master's and my PhD. My husband and I, we enjoy traveling, and our favorite trip was to South Africa. And what do I do to kind of help me balance my life? I enjoy gardening, and working out at my college's Health, Fitness, Recreation Center, and Zumba is my favorite exercise program. I'm very excited to be one of the finalists for the position of president of Paradise Valley Community College. This opportunity would be an investment in a campus and community where I would take immense pride in serving. I'm familiar with the outstanding accomplishments of Paradise Valley Community College because Maricopa County Community College System is a board college of League for Innovation in the Community College. And as a league representative at my current institution, I know what the innovative practices that are taking place at Maricopa, its leadership, its board of trustee, and your chancellor. Your chancellor, Dr. Gonzalez, is a well-respected leader for the way he leads the system and the way he serves the community. Based on my interaction with all the various constituents at Paradise Valley Community College, I am in awe of your genuine concern and care for your students. You truly showed to me today how much your student matters to you, and this is why you are an outstanding community college, because you maintain excellence in instruction and support services that create positive impact on the lives of your students, and I hear that story today. But what excites me the most about Paradise Valley Community College is your student demographics. I was pleasantly surprised when I looked into your student demographics that it mirrors my current institution. Congratulations on becoming a Hispanic serving institution with 29% of your student body being Latinx. It's not easy to get students to come to your campus, and especially your Latino students, which tells me that the Latino families and communities have faith and trust in how you care for their students. The other demographic that excites me is the fact that 44% of your student body is first generation. I know Paradise Valley, like many community colleges, is experiencing decline in its enrollment. But what a wonderful opportunity it is for Paradise Valley to support 44% of its students' family members and relatives to earn college credentials to help manage your enrollment. I was also very impressed with your dual credit. You have a very strong dual credit program, and what is more impressive is that 48% of your dual credit students matriculate to Paradise Valley. Now that's another great opportunity for Paradise Valley to manage and grow its enrollment. The possibility to build upon your solid reputation is one of the numerous things that inspired me to apply for this position. Currently, I serve as Vice President of Student Development at Moraine Valley Community College, which is located about 32 miles southwest outside of Chicago in a suburb called Palos Hills. Moraine Valley serves 26 communities, approximately 26,000 students annually. And like Paradise Valley, we were just designated as a Hispanic serving institution. I provide leadership and supervision for 20 student development departments and 2 off-campus sites. My diverse professional and educational experiences have contributed to my success as a college administrator and faculty member in higher education. I have successfully held progressive leadership positions at 2 community colleges in the past 24 years. Over 34 years in higher ed, I have currently I serve as the Vice President of Student Development. I have served as Assistant Vice President of Academic Affairs and Student Affairs, Dean of Students, Director of Multicultural Student Affairs, and tenured faculty. I am a strategic leader. I have been involved in fundraising, enrollment management, student success, and employee engagement. Some of my accomplishments include a proven record of managing $9.8 million in student development budget, over $1.2 million of 3 TRIO grants, the disbursement of $17.2 million of financial aid funds, and $19.2 million of higher education emergency relief fund. Once again, I want to thank all of you for hosting me today and having me here, and I look forward to answering your questions.
At this time, we invite questions from audience members. Please stand in line at the microphone should you wish to ask a question. If you're attending via live stream, you may submit questions to xsearchforum@domail.maricopa.edu. We will do our best to rotate through all questions, honoring at least one question posed by each attendee. In instances where we may receive multiple questions from one attendee, we will make every effort to return to any unasked questions once we have given equal time to other attendees also asking a question. So again, for those of you attending via live stream, submit your questions to xsearch, that is EXSEARCH, forum, FORUM, at domail.maricopa, maricopa.edu. And again, we will go back and forth between questions asked of people in the audience, physically here in the audience, and live online. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. If we want to go ahead and start with the audience, and we'll start here on the right mic from stage. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matthew Laurie, and I was just wondering what are your plans to support the bachelor's programs at the Paradise Valley Community College?
I think, many community colleges have done such a wonderful job, but many community college students expect us to also be a four-year university. So in terms of your question, how would I support? I think capitalize on that opportunity to help our students complete their educational goal without having to leave the campus. I think that's a great opportunity. And number two, think about how we are filling the gaps in terms of shortage of teachers in the district as well as in Maricopa district. So, I don't know what the enrollment is right now, but I'm quite sure there is much work to be done between Vice President the Student Affairs Division, as well as Academic Affairs and the community members to make sure that that particular program grow and is enhanced and receive the support, because in the very end, we are filling a gap that's very much needed in the community.
Thank you, Dr. Soleil Barone. Your first question online is, have you had any experience dealing with violations of academic freedom? If so, how did you handle the situation and what was the outcome?
Okay. I have not had any experience in terms of direct violation of academic freedom, but I have been consulted on a situation. One of my colleagues gave me a call and asked me for my input. There was a publication that was produced by our faculty members, and it was a description about programs that we're going to provide to our students. And a department has reviewed that publication and wanted to make recommendation in the choice of words, and even to offer replacing some of the words and the verbiage in that publication. My input to my colleague was this. This publication was produced by faculty members. My first question to my colleague who asked for my input, I said, was the person who recommended these changes and the change in verbiage, was a discussion being held with the faculty members that produced this promotional flyer? And the answer was no. And I said, well, I think if you want to make recommendations and it belongs to a faculty member, I think it is wise to sit down and have a conversation and explain the why. But on the other hand, I said, my guidance to you is to leave it alone, because it is academic freedom, and faculty members' academic freedom is a faculty member's professional right. It is a faculty member's professional right to select material, to select the methodology, to select the tools and assessment to measure students' academic performance. I said, by changing and recommending certain verbiage that they have produced, you may be changing the narrative of a faculty member's voice. So with that input, that publication stayed very much intact the way it is.
Thank you so much. We can go back to the floor. If we go on the left stand here.
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you. I personally, one of the tasks that I hold here at the campus is to lead the reaffirmation of accreditation project. As you know, we have a site visit coming up in October, and my question to you is, what is your first question for that team that's been leading this project for over a year and a half?
Okay. I read your Higher Learning Commission assurance argument, but I wasn't able to access the full report from HLC because it is only for employees of the college. My first question is that, what are the recommendations from that last site visit? Based on that recommendations, for example, Moraine Valley, just like Paradise Valley, went through Higher Learning Commission reaffirmation in 2017 and 2018. And I was very successful in the oversight of the Student Development Division. And from that Higher Learning Commission reaffirmation, there were two recommendations for Moraine Valley. One is employee engagement, specifically, what is Moraine Valley doing to recognize its employees and to help them prepare for career upward mobility. And the second recommendation from Higher Learning Commission of my current institution is to really examine our student learning outcomes and to make sure student affairs as well as academic affairs is doing assessment that is aligned and that we're truly measuring student learning outcome, just not in classroom instruction and programs, but also in student affairs. So if I were selected as the president and working with the team, I would go back to what are the recommendations of HLC, and then look at all the actions that we have done as a campus community to address those recommendations and make sure that we are up to par, and then what do we need to do in terms of our plans to make sure it's sustainable.
Thank you. Next question from online is, if you are chosen as president at PVCC, how do you plan on being accessible and visible to students?
I think that's a trick question, because I'm a vice president of student development, and that is what I do for a living. I meet with students at all of their events. You can see me walking around. We have about 13 buildings on our campus, and I believe you have 18, so I need to have my walking shoes on. At my current institution, we have student trustee, and I meet with the student trustee with my dean of students on a monthly basis. I also mentor 1 to 2 students a semester. We have one of the most effective retention programs called DREAM, which stands for Directing Results Through Educational Attainment. And this particular program invites students, specifically minoritized students, and their mentors are college employees, and college employees who volunteer their time. And I'm telling you, this is one of the most effective retention programs we have. So kudos to our Multicultural Student Affairs and its employees who work on this program. The students who are in this program, I mentor 1 to 2 of them, and it's kind of funny because they made sure I get the student with the most complex life situation, because they challenge me, right? If you cannot help the student, how do you expect us to help you? So I meet with students all the time. I attend many of the club and student events. Those of you who work in student affairs, you know your students are very active. There's a lot of programs that they create, and they expect you to be there. This past spring or fall, I think it's spring, I work with the athletics director to make sure we have students and campus community present at our athletics games and competitions. So we did pack the house. So that's a great opportunity for me to host students that come and watch our basketball games. And I am one of those employees that give out pizza to students and talk to them.
Thank you so much. We can go back to the floor here on the right side.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Bankhead. I am residential faculty here at PVCC. And my question for you is, rising cost of living and college going greatly impacts some students, making it hard to focus on school. How would you execute additional or add to existing initiatives to meet student basic needs, including housing, childcare, and food insecurity?
Is that another trick question?
To repeat it?
I'm sorry. I say, is that another trick question? I appreciate your question. I understand that PVCC has a wonderful food pantry, and you guys work with your community members, and I love Dress for Success program. I visited the room, and it is just amazing what you have worked in terms of helping your students prepare for job interviews, in terms of having access to suits and professional suits for them to go for an interview. I was elected by Cook County to serve as one of the commissioners for Housing Authority of Cook County. And I play an integral role in terms of making sure that the residents of Housing Authority of Cook County have access to community colleges. And in my role as the commissioner of Housing Authority of Cook County, I didn't think I would learn this much. I've learned not about Section 8 only, but rental assistance. I've learned about subsidized housing. I've learned about senior citizen housing. I've learned about all the various places that those who have housing insecurity can access these various programs. As a result of my role as a commissioner of Housing Authority of Cook County, I've taken that information and shared it with my counselors as well as all of the personnel in our student affairs, because housing insecurity is a #1 issue right now. It is sad when you learn that your students are going to be evicted. How can they continue their education If they don't have a place to live, how can they concentrate on their studies if the place where they can go to is a shelter? So I actually, before coming here, Googled Maricopa Housing Authority. And I think there is a great opportunity, if I'm selected as the president, to see what the opportunities are for Paradise Valley Community College to partner with Maricopa Housing Authority.
Thank you, Dr. Soleil Baron. Next question online is, there is a growing movement to ban DEI in higher education in the country, with Florida as the arrowhead. What is your experience in DEI at the community college level? How will you ensure that DEI is implemented at PVCC in a way that addresses the concerns of critics of DEI while still achieving the goals of DEI?
Okay. So throughout my whole career as a faculty member, Director of Multicultural Student Affairs, that my main role was to serve underrepresented students, faculty member, administrator in student affairs. It's all about making sure we focus on supporting our minoritized students and closing the equity gap. So it's not only important for us to look at racial, but also to look at the broader sense definition of DEI that includes sexual orientation and abilities and disabilities. So if you look at Moraine Valley Community College, we are a champion for closing equity gap. Our Latinx students' retention rate is at par with our white students because we have a strong retention initiative on our campus. In terms of what's going on in the country, especially what you're hearing in Florida and Texas, and it's disheartening, right? But what is interesting, you need to work and pay attention to a legal counsel, because there are ways for us to address DEI if we are ever challenged. For example, if you look at our low-income students, who are they mostly? From what ethnic groups are they mostly from? And then if you look at recruiting, look at the communities that has the low participation rates. What is your demographics for your Black students? Is it like 9%? So it's important for you to go into communities, to go into high schools that have low participation rates. That's how you address and challenge those who challenge your DEI efforts. You look at low income, you look at low participation rates. You also need to look at who's enrolled in what programs and what kind of support services you need to make sure those minoritized students become aware of, right? For example, STEM programs. How do high school students who have low participation rates have access to your STEM programs? Again, pay attention to what's going on, especially the discussion that's happening among the legal world. I would say address it based from low income, low participation rates to help you address the DEI issues.
Thank you, Dr. Soleil Baron. If we want to go back to the floor.
Good afternoon, Christina Hunley from Athletics. Doctor, if you could please tell me your thoughts on supporting athletics at the two-year college level and expand on any experience you've had in supporting athletics at your institution.
Okay, just like Paradise Valley, we have 12 sports teams. It is, I have to be honest, it's one of the most expensive departments in student affairs, but it is very, very important because it is the identity, it's also your branding, right? It's also a way to recruit your district high school students to be part of Paradise Valley. I have always been supportive of athletics department, but at the same time, athletics department must work alongside with me to ensure that our athletes are not only successful in competition, but they're also successful in their academic programs, because that is the only way we can work together to show the critical role that athletics department play in terms of not only representing the institution in competitions, the critical role that we play in helping our athletes transfer and get good grades, secure scholarships. Athletics, like I say, is one of the most expensive departments in student development division at my institution. But what we have done, working collaboratively, and I don't know if you've done this, Christina, my athletic director did a little bit of survey and research to secure external funding. So we discovered NJCAA has a vendor to help us do fundraiser. So along with this, we sought out the support from our foundation to make sure that this particular vendor requirements is very much aligned with fundraising. So when we got the thumbs up from our foundation office, we worked with NJCCA vendor and we're able to raise $37,000 this particular spring for our athletes to go, for our softball team and our baseball team to go on a spring break. So I will continue to work closely with my athletic director. I'm in support of him, working with him, securing external funding so we can do a lot of more of the things that we're doing for our softball and baseball team.
Thank you, Dr. Celebron. Our next question online is, what about PVCC attracts you or makes you want to work here?
As I've indicated before, PVCC has a wonderful reputation, right, in terms of innovation and practices. You have excellent instruction. Based on my interaction with the various constituents today, I'm even more convinced that Paradise Valley is the best fit for me. I'm going to be transparent and honest with all of you. I am not putting my name out there for every presidency opening. PVCC is it for me. One, not only today, I'm convinced and I'm in awe in terms of your genuine commitment to your students, but your student demographics is what excites me. And all of the efforts and initiatives that you're doing in terms of equity now, trying to make sure that you recruit employees that reflect the demographics of your student. I know that I can play a critical role to enhance and support all of your initiatives on this campus.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Up there, thank you, please. Go ahead on the right.
Hello, my name is Hannah Laurie, and I will be graduating with a degree in art. My question for you is, how do you plan to support our theater and music departments, as well as our other art and performing programs?
Well, isn't your theater and music department is one of the phenomenal departments you have on campus? I mean, kudos to you, right? I mean, I see what's on your website. I see what the programming is here. And then one of the strengths of Paradise Valley Community College is how welcoming you are with your community members. Not only you welcome your community members to your campus, but they are truly a part of your planning, a part of contributors to your program, and you have a lot of support because your program is outstanding. I just heard from the constituents today that there's just so many activities that a lot of the staff members that work in the theater and the fine performing arts is here from 8 to 10 at night every day. I mean, it's just amazing. So how would I support it? I think continue to support whatever the good work that is being done. I think that's important as a college president. But I think, there's no need to have much support when you're doing excellence, right? You just need to make sure it continues to thrive.
Thank you. We'll move to a question online at this time. Staff are often asked to do more with less. How have you championed initiatives to help your staff avoid burnout?
That's a good question, and it was brought up today. With a decline in enrollment, there's decline in budget, And there's also an expectation that employees take on more, two roles that they're doing, and it tends to burn them out. So what I would do is to look at, pay attention not to quantity, pay attention to quality, right? I'm going to talk about one department. They produce so many events, and they are so tired, but they love what they do. And then they tell me, oh my God, I need more resources. Well, the fact is, I'm not able to give them additional funding because we just have a tight budget. That's the nature of it. But what I would do is look at what are some of the things that we can cut back without compromising instruction, without compromising support services, because those two cannot be compromised. So take a look at, pay attention. It's not quantity, but it's quality that we need to focus on.
Thank you, Dr. Soleil-Baron. If we want to go to the floor on the left side, please.
Good afternoon. How comfortable do you feel in advocating for us as PVCC's president when it might put you in direct opposition of one of the other Maricopa College presidents, especially coming in as a new senior administrator?
That's a tough question. First of all, as part of Maricopa's system, you're supposed to work collaboratively. I understand that we're an independent college, but at the same time, we support one another. I think it's important for me to work with the current senior leadership to have a full understanding what is the conflict of interest, right? And to have an honest conversation with the current senior leadership, what has been done in terms of navigating this awkward situation. I think during my meeting today with one of the constituents, they have shared with me. And I think it's a sticky situation because PVCC gave up that particular opportunity. And now that you are in a very strong position to take it back, it's very difficult to take back what you have given up. So you have to be very, very strategic. You have to be very, very savvy. At the meeting that I have with your community members, because I understand it's related, I think the community partner can play a great role. Because if you look at the support that you're getting from your community partner, we need to make sure that that community partner voice is loud and clear in terms of why PVCC should be leading that particular initiative.
Thank you. We'll move to another question on online. What is your experience working with faculty senates? How do you interact with leaders of the faculty senate?
Okay. Illinois State is a union state. At Moraine Valley Community College, we have 5 unions. I have been the Vice President of Student Development for 14 years, and not once have I been grieved. It's because relationships with faculty union is critical, and not just with faculty union. With our support staff union, I have strong relationships and healthy relationships with both President of Faculty Association and the President of Support Staff Union. I shared this with your senior leadership. I do not make decisions. When I'm thinking about something that I need to do or I feel I have to do in my division, I always pick up the phone because I need to make sure before I move on with my thoughts, I need to make sure that I have the support from the President of Faculty Association or the President of Support Staff. Once I've had the discussion and the conversation, only when I know that I have their full support and blessing would I then go forward and have a discussion within my leadership team and then make sure that whatever plans or action plans that I'm working with my deans and my leadership team, that both presidents, if it's impacting support staff, that the president of support staff union is very much in the loop and very much in support of the action plan. And that goes the same way with the faculty of the president of our faculty union.
Thank you. If we can move to the floor on the left side, please. I think, oh, did I go right? Sorry.
Are you good? Hi, I'm Susan Bonnell. I'm the adjunct faculty coordinator. I'm also an adjunct in psychology. So my question to you is, how do you engage adjuncts in the past, and how do you do that now?
Okay. In student development, we have faculty counselors and faculty advisors. How do I engage them? I know that first of all, I know their contribution and commitments. So I make sure that they are very much a part in terms of professional development, program planning, and that I do make sure that I know every single one of our adjuncts in my division. Our adjuncts are very active in terms of putting programs, especially our counseling department, in terms of doing workshops, and I make sure that I'm present and I know what the workshops and sessions that they're doing. And our adjuncts right now do give me a lot of feedback in terms of scheduling, in terms of their workload, and I am a good listener. And I make sure that they follow the protocol and work with the department chair and then work with their deans. But know that whatever feedback they give me, I keep that as a mental note, and when there's a right opportunity for me to address their needs or their concerns, and it's all about timing, the right time, the right place, and the right resources.
Thank you, and I do want to continue on the floor and let you ask your question, please.
Hi, my name is Gretchen LeBron-Weed. I work in the library. Libraries are constantly having to prove their worth. What would you do to support the library?
First of all, I have to fully understand how is the library, what is the library's relationship with instruction, with student affairs, and what are the opportunities that you've been providing for students in terms of programming? From what I understand, you do host a lot of student workshops. You bring in guest speakers to the library. Is that accurate? All right. So I would say continue doing what you're doing. Like in any department that wants to thrive, pay attention to the trends, what is going on, not only in statewide, at the national. What are some of the innovative things that you could be doing that you're not doing? Benchmark yourself against other libraries at the other colleges and higher ed. Think about opportunities, think about timing. How I would support you as long as what we're doing support students, support the mission of the college, and make sure that you're at the forefront, right? So in terms of supporting you, making sure that there's opportunities for you to collaborate with various areas of the campus.
Thank you, and we'll go ahead and return to online questions. How do you view the importance of treating employees with fairness and equity? As a CEO of PVCC, what actions would you take if you encountered a situation where an employee was not being treated fairly?
So, first of all, I have to to answer the question, I have to ask the question. When the question says an employee was not treated fairly, was there a formal complaint that was submitted to the college? In order for me to answer the question, so if a formal complaint that an employee was not treated fairly, then the Office of Human Resource would have to support the college in investigation that allegation, right? You have to do an interview, just like when you have a student complaint. You start with interviewing the complainant, interviewing folks that received the allegations that they have treated the employee unfairly, and then work with human resource to make sure that there's a full investigation and make sure that you understand the findings and outcomes, because that's the office that oversees in terms of employees' rights.
Thank you for your answer. Is there anybody else on the floor that wants to come up before I continue on online questions? Okay, we'll come back to online. You mentioned how you have supported athletics financially. How have you supported the fine and performing arts financially as well?
I have not personally supported our fine performing arts because our foundation office is doing excellent work, and also our fine performing arts have produced great programs, and community members and campus communities are supporting our fine performing arts through their attendance, right? Because when you have an excellent program, it's wonderful to make sure that you have a good audience, and contributions will come naturally from your community as well as your campus community. But our foundation has played a critical role in making sure that there is financial support for our fine performing arts. If I'm selected to be your president, I would have to look at what kind of financial support fine performing arts is receiving and explore opportunities to either model after Moraine Valley or to secure external partnerships.
Thank you, Dr. Soleil Barone. Another question online. What are 3 words that best describe your leadership style?
I am a leader who is transparent. I am honest, and what you see is what you get. I'm pretty open. To me, it would be very exhausting to pretend to be someone you're not. So again, I'm very transparent, I'm honest, and I'm trustworthy.
Thank you, and we'll wrap it up with one last question. How do you intend to support engineering and STEM programs at PVCC?
Well, there is a shortage of engineers. There's a shortage of folks that can fill the labor market, specifically in STEM. I think it's important to work very closely with academic affairs and the faculty in academic affairs, collaborate with student affairs to make sure that STEM program, that students, prospects, parents understand the opportunities of pursuing STEM, right? And what role can PVCC play in terms of supporting high school students, adult students, to pursue STEM and then to complete their educational goal? You also not only look at what you're offering, but what are the opportunities that your current programs have with the four-year institution. Because if you have a strong partnership with four-year university, it's a magnet. It's a magnet for students to come to your campus to pursue STEM because of the opportunity to transfer and to be admitted to a four-year university, especially it's a four-year university of their choice. So make sure that you have strong partnerships with your four-year. Is there clear engineering pathways between PVCC and the four-year university? So ensure that that takes place and ensure that that marketing and that communication is crystal clear to high school counselors, to families, parents, and then the high school students.
Dr. Sally Barone, we thank you for your time today. If you would like to leave us with any closing remarks, you're welcome to take up to 5 minutes to do so.
First of all, once again, thank you for hosting me. I am so honored, humbled, and privileged to be here with all of you and to be hosted by your campus community. In closing, let me summarize why I am a great fit for Paradise Valley Community College. I have broad, deep, and practical experience on what a community college needs to do to achieve its mission, vision, and strategic plan. If you are looking for a president who understands the needs of students, faculty, employees, and community members, I am that person. I have been a student with global experience, a tenured faculty who has advocated for the interests of immigrant, international and marginalized students, and I'm an administrator who has experience with the requirements of Higher Learning Commission and the Department of Education. I am a leader who cares deeply about access and success of students and the needs of the community. I'm also a very engaged leader. At the national level, I currently serve as the League for Innovation in the Community College Board Member Representative and a Senior International Officer for Community College International Development. I was a member of the Democracy Commitment National Steering Committee. I was also selected to be part of Forward 50 to submit innovative recommendations related to access, affordability, accountability, and transparency. At the state level, I serve on the Illinois Community College Board Senate Joint Resolution 41, which focus on analyzing developmental education models and developing a plan for scaling reform statewide. At my current institution, I'm part of the Illinois Equity in Attainment. It's a team to champion policies, systems, and practices that ensure all students, particularly low-income, first-generation, and individuals from underrepresented groups, graduate from college. I also serve on the Illinois Community College Chief Student Services Office organization and was appointed by Cook County to serve as one of the commissioners of the Housing Authority of Cook County, and I'm a champion for HECS residents to attend community colleges. I am an authentic leader who is genuine and can help Paradise Valley pursue the benefits of being a Hispanic serving institution and produce equitable outcomes for your Latinx students. I am confident that I will be successful in supporting Paradise Valley Community College enhance the recruitment, retention, and success of historically marginalized students, especially at a Hispanic serving institution. My understanding of how a community college is financed and what a college must do under budget duress has enabled me to analyze the college's fiscal position and make sound financial decisions. Under my leadership, our student development successfully secured funding from state representatives for Moraine Valley Student Success Center and our Illinois Veterans Grant. I work closely with our foundation office to make sure our Health, Fitness, Recreation Center and athletics fundraising efforts are fully supported. Under my leadership, student development implemented numerous initiatives and projects that increased the college's enrollment. My team and I are incredibly pleased that enrollment has bounced back since the pandemic. Our fall 2023 enrollment is 6% higher than fall 2022, with an enrollment of 11,144 credit students. Currently, I am co-leading our customer relations management project with our Vice President of Information Technology to help us continue doing targeted marketing and supporting our enrollment initiatives. Once again, Moraine Valley has 5 collective bargaining units, and I work very well with both president of faculty and support staff unions. Moraine Valley uses governance structure when making major decisions and transformative initiatives. As the Vice President of Student Development and former Assistant Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs, I have demonstrated my ability to lead college-wide initiatives. I am very proud if I'm selected to serve Paradise Valley Community College, and I'm confident as a leader with a history of proven outcomes at my current institution and with organization at the state and national level, I am your candidate of choice. Thank you for being here.
This now concludes this public forum, and we invite you to take time to complete your feedback form located at www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search. All feedback is due by Tuesday, May 7th at 5 p.m. Again, that's www.maricopa.edu/PVCC-search, SEARCH. Thank you, everyone.